Let's move to the Iberian neighbours of Spain. Luis de la Fuente has taken over from Luis Enrique. We'll take a look at the last Spanish lineup that started against Morocco in the World Cup round of 16. Obviously, no Busquets now, and with de la Fuente instead of Luis Enrique. What are the main issues? What are the main decisions that de la Fuente has to decide after taking over from Luis Enrique?
There are a few. This is a team that is now going to be driven by younger players like Gavi and Pedri. Now, Pedri is not available for this initial call-up because of injury, but it is going to depend on these younger guys and this younger generation fueling what the future of the Spanish national team is going to be. Until we get there, the questions are, right, who plays center forward with you?
Yep.
Who's the guy who's going to score the goals for Spain? And we apparently are still very much in the middle of the Alvaro Morata experience. Yay! What a ride this has been. Nobody gets excited about that because you know that one day he looks great and then the next day he's terrible. And this is how he has been for Spain. This is how it's been in his club career as well. But much like the Harry Maguire discussion with England, you look at the options as to what Spain has available in the center forward position, and you kind of go, well, yeah, it is still Alvaro Morata. I suppose you could go in the direction of Borja Iglesias if you want a different profile striker, or Joselu if you want a different profile striker. These are 30-year-old strikers who have, to some degree, have been journeymen and now have found a little bit of productivity with some consistency over the last couple of seasons. And because there is a little bit of desperation from the Spanish national team in saying, okay, who's going to play striker for us if it's not Alvaro Morata? It has been Gerard Moreno at times. There's a conversation of Iago Aspas, Borja Iglesias, Joselu. Now, do any of those names truly get you excited and really answer the question for you long term? And the answer really is no. Where is that young striker from Spain that is going to be able to score with some consistency for you? He's not around yet. We haven't seen him yet. And so therefore, that's why we're still having the conversation with Spain about the false nine. Are they playing with a striker? Without a striker? Are you better off just having a bunch of little guys running around and combining and appearing in the box sort of in trailing plays, but you don't really have a focal point? You only have that conversation because you don't have a guy that can give you that job consistently, that can give you that job productively. And so this is where Spain are. The absence of Busquets through their midfield, it's going to be a big one as well. That means that perhaps Rodri pushes into that position, his natural position as a center midfielder. What happens in the center back position? You have Laporte, and who plays alongside Laporte? And it was supposed to be Pau Torres. That hasn't worked out. And so then you have to look very deep. And I'm talking deep. One of the names that has been thrown around is David Garcia from Osasuna, who's had a really good season with Osasuna. But again, we're going deep in order to find these answers for Spain. There are a lot of questions about the Spanish national team, and a lot of the answers from Luis de la Fuente and whoever is around this national team is the same. The youth, the younger players, the younger legs, the younger talent are going to take over. Well, I hope they're ready to take over because they're going to need every bit of talent they have.
Well, of course, they're going to be really worried about having Scotland in their group and also Norway with Erling Haaland, although Haaland will miss the first two games through injury, so won't be available to face Spain. It's a Spanish side that De La Fuente's taking over that reached the round of 16 at the World Cup, didn't go any further. Are wholesale changes required? Just one or two tweaks? Or can he implement a new style, given the fact he's pretty much got a blank page to take over?
I think you're limited by the choices that you have and the options that you have. And so if it is about this younger talent through the midfield, then your game continues to be about possession. But can that possession be more dynamic? Luis Enrique tried to be more direct, but you're being more direct with players up top that aren't really going to give you the productivity that you need. But those players are still very much part of the discussion and very much part of the national team picture. So nothing much has changed for Spain other than perhaps they've gotten younger. You don't have Busquets. Jordi Alba doesn't seem to be in the picture anymore. So it's going to be Alejandro Valde playing down the left-hand side. Outside of that, you start looking at the names, and yeah, a lot of good players in the middle third, a lot of good players perhaps about 2/3 of the field down. But once you get into that final third, once you get into the 18-yard box, and once you get into that area where you need to have a different type of player, a different profile of player, that's where Spain are lacking. And they're having difficulties finding goals, creating chances. And when you create those chances, who's putting those chances away? Again, I don't know how else to say this, but we're still, and I mean still, depending on Alvaro Morata to score goals, to the point to where Alvaro Morata may be the captain of this team. This is where we are with Spain. He now becomes your potentially most important player in the attack, if for no other reason, because there's nobody else. And he has to be the guy. So Luis de la Fuente, new manager, Luis Enrique gone, but has the personality of Spain changed? Has the talent level changed? Has the team itself changed? Slightly, but I don't see their profile changing all that much, because I don't think that in key positions they've changed all that much.
If you use Pedri when available and Gavi as your base, you're going to be a possession-based team, and you've got the supporting cast. Do you need an out-and-out number 9, or could you play with a false 9? Because we saw in their last game in the World Cup round of 16, they played Asensio in that position.
Okay. See what you just said there? That did not get me excited at all.
No.
And I mean at all. It's okay, Marco Asensio playing as a false 9. All right, cool. I don't think that resolves the problem for you. And this only furthers the discussion. You have Rodri, you have Gavi, you have Pedri. So you have your midfield 3. And then in front of them is, mama, who do we play in front of them? You can potentially bring Fabian Ruiz and play him in the middle, and then have Pedri in a more advanced position, or Gavi in a more advanced position, typical of what they're doing with Barcelona now, where Barcelona seemingly starts with a 4-3-3, but it's actually more of a 4-4-2, and Gavi or Pedri, whoever's on the left-hand side, tucks in and plays in the midfield. So then who's going to be up top for you, or in that front line? And now it gets tricky. Marco Asensio and Alvaro Morata, again, they may score a goal here and there, but when it gets to a point in a competition, say round of 16 in a World Cup, or even round of 16 in a Euros, do you trust these players to score a big goal for you consistently? And the answer to that, categorically, over what we have seen, is no. They're scoring moments. They may have a game. They may have 2 games here and there. But over the course of a long tournament, seemingly, they get to these defining stages and they come up short because they don't quite have that final touch that is required.
The Euro qualifiers just around the corner. New coaches in place, some new players, some youngsters getting the chance, and some of the old guard now gone, having retired. Plenty talking points as the Euro qualifiers kick off this week, and full coverage right here at ESPN FC.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.